Dear friends, Namaste. Today, let us take a look at the world, a world that we all know about, a world which we see every day, a world about which we hear in the news, but never really cared to understand the misery, the indignity, the utter helplessness of the people that belong to the world for centuries and still belong there. The world of shit and filth, the world of pollution and poisonous gases, the world of dry latrines, septic tanks, sewage drains, and deaths by drowning in the dark pits. It is the world of manual scavengers, the living hell on earth. Most of us have been living a fairly comfortable life, a life in which we are fortunate enough not to worry about three basic things: roti, kapda, or makan. We never had the misfortune of facing the cruel pangs of hunger, of being homeless and left to sleep on the streets, of being orphaned by the untimely death of our parents that drowned in the drains. Least of all, we never had to stand in a dry latrine with a broom and a bucket and clean the excreta of others, or get inside a drainage gutter that is full of deadly gases and face death, just for a single day, let alone for the entire life. Yet we allowed countless of our fellow human beings to drown and die in those deadly dark gutters, in those stinking septic tanks, while cleaning our filth, our dirty sewage, for just 2 meals a day and nothing more. We ignored their misery, we ignored their pain, we turned our backs on them and let them suffer the inhumane conditions, stripping them of their basic dignity and human rights. Do we really feel any guilt? Can we really sleep well with a clean consciousness? Are we not forcing them indirectly to do the filthiest job on the face of this earth? The job of cleaning all of our filth and dirt. Now, let's meet a special person, in fact, a very distinguished person, who was conferred nothing less than a prestigious Raman Magsaysay Award for his unparalleled work in uplifting the lives of manual scavengers. He is born into a Dalit family, a family of manual scavengers. Yes, we all know about Dalits, the so-called untouchables. Gandhiji called them Harijans. But how many of us know the life of manual scavengers and their unthinkable misery? Here is a man who rose from their midst, who revolted against the gross injustice and dedicated his entire life fighting to save his fellow men from spending their lives in sewers that are full of filth. Friends, let us now meet Mr. Bejwada Wilson, one of the humblest person, and listen to his struggle in his own simple words as he speaks to Dr. Rajnikant and shares his heartache with all of us. Inspired and moved by Mr. Wilson's lifetime dedication, Dr. Rajnikant hopes to spend his retired life in his footsteps and contribute to this noble cause in his own humble capacity.
Sir, I'd like to greet you on behalf of a lot of friends in South Africa. They are mostly expat Indians from different places like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Bengal, you name it. I mean, there are several people from several parts of India. And also to include my friends in other places like US and UK, and not to forget my friends and family back in India and my classmates. I greet you on behalf of everyone, sir. Uh, Before we go into the details of manual scavenging, I would like to say something from the personal aspect, like the mindset of a common man. I'm now about 65, but I still clearly remember the days when I grew up as a child. We had houses with dry latrines, and I remember the scavengers coming and cleaning those latrines, and it went on till I can remember till my college days. But we never understood the indignity of this kind of work or the inhuman nature of this work. We just took it for granted, and nobody actually discussed not our parents, not anybody in the society, not at work, not at school. It was just taken for granted that it's just another kind of job. But recently, when I started looking for something, and I just stumbled upon items like drainage cleaning and deaths of people who are dying during this cleaning the drainages. And then, after reading your interviews and watching a lot of material, it just hit me like a slap on my face, the reality of it. So, the common man, probably like me, will never understand the kind of work these manual scavengers have to do. So, can I request you to share those moments of your life where how it started as a young man? And I believe that in one of your interviews you mentioned that at a particular stage you wanted to commit suicide, but then thought again, thinking that suicide is not going to be an answer. Then you started your fight, started Safai Karmachari Andolan, and you have taken it very far during the last 30 years. So, would you please share those moments of your early life so that people like me, the common man, can understand the true nature of the work, why you started to fight this?
Sir, thanks for the opportunity, and moreover, and I'm so happy that you have struggled a lot to reach to us, because we are not so popular, and we have our everywhere you may not be getting our contacts, details, everything. But you found somehow and you reached and you made a many phone calls and many times, and you finally made this interaction. And to continue that, the manual scavenging which we are talking about, this is not the cleaning the streets or garbage collection, sir. This is the particularly we are talking about the two important things. One is that dry latrines, where the people have to go inside the toilet and there is no any water facility, and they have to bring the fecal matters by head, or sometimes they keep on the shoulder, sometimes on the bucket also, but they have to take that and drop somewhere in the open grounds or the drains or somewhere. But in Telangana and Andhra context, if you take the mostly that the underground drainage system and the septic tank system still continue. But whereas this women carrying the human excreta, that is there in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and all these parts, Jharkhand, Jammu Kashmir, few parts of the Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and West Bengal. Here there are the still almost like our estimation is 160,000 women, they are doing the same work. And it is a very pathetic, as you said, but the problem is people also, the toilet owners, they don't understand exactly that why we are engaging like this and all. They also think that they are providing some employment opportunities some poor people. That is the problem. So they don't carry the guilt or anything, because as they think that we are giving some roti. Usually in North India they give the roti also. After the women comes and cleans all the toilets, again she will come back with the just like this kapda or something, and cloth or some tiffin carrier or something, and everybody will drop a one roti. So that collects, and that she takes to the home like. So people who are giving, they don't carry any guilt. They think that we are feeding them. And people who are taking the roti also, the women, she also feels that there is nothing. Who can, I am illiterate and I am untouchable and I am a woman. So who will give what kind of a job to me? I am not a professional like. So to make this two actually the centers, like a woman is not aware of the Kanun. Laws, government makes the laws. But how this women will know about the law? Even if she knows about the law that it is prohibited, how does it matters for her? For her the roti sawal. It is a very simple. For her, the challenge is how do I get my roti? Simple. From my childhood, I have seen that we are from the scavenging community, that I know. Slowly, I understood that. Parents were also doing so some more. By the time I started growing, my father got retired when I am just 6, 7 years, 6, 7 years old. Then later, my mother, father was not working because they are very elderly. By the time he is 60 years old, he retired. So I was just fourth standard. I was studying that time. I could not understand what it is, but I know that there is a something. I am something different. I am not like everybody. And people also make some mockery and all. I understand thoda, not much. And people also don't say that you are a particular caste, you that and all. They just make a like a thoti, and everybody will laugh, and I also laugh. Then they will feel disturbed that you should not laugh. We have to laugh and you have to cry. And our senior people, my own people, my relatives, then they will start telling me that you should not laugh because we are thoti. They are making that derogatory, so you should not laugh. So likewise, I started slowly understanding about my own identity, all these things. But it has not given any pain or anything. It is just not so happy, but okay. But later stages, when we grow, we will understand that people are also keeping us out and all those things. Thoda I felt there is a something problem. I went to the Kuppam in social welfare hostel to study from 5th to almost like a 10th. Then when I'm 15 years old, I just came back to my native town. So then here nobody is studying. I am only 10th class only, very less. But I am able to read and write. So I used to write some letters. Then later I once got into this manual scavenging person and he challenged me. My story is very big. So I want to cut short. I don't want to prolong. When we have a time, we can talk about that. Then he challenged and I went and I seen the toilet they are cleaning and he dropped the bucket and he started going and taking and I felt it is very difficult to see such kind of a thing when I am just maybe 18, 19 years old. I don't know dates. I am not remembering anything, sir. I seen that and I get so disturbed. What is this? Human beings just for the roti or something food. Why should they play with the human excreta like a mud? And this should not be. Then I started crying. Nobody given any response. Then I went out of the home. Then there I felt that I can't bear this much of the pain in my life. And how we can allow some other human being to clean like this and feel that that is not any the problem. Okay, we get the food. And what? How can we? I felt so bad that how can we think that for food we can make somebody to clean like this? So I felt so difficult and I felt that it is better to die. Nobody will listen to us. Then I don't know what happened. Somewhere or other in the heart, deep to the heart, I felt that no, you why dying and all. And Amara, we also think that in next Janma what is going to happen. Then I started thinking this life is itself is then a hell. Why we want a one more life? So we don't want we will die. No, we should not die. Like it is in a completely whole night is just a dilemma and jump, let us go jump. No, like by the time it got dawn, sir, then the birds started coming. And first time in my life I am alone in a very remote place where usually the people get commit suicide in that water tank. It is so deep in the underground tank. So taking dead body is also very difficult. So after 1 or 2 days only people is to take. I know that place. So there I was sitting, and early morning hours, these birds coming, and the sky also once it is so dark, and it is becoming so white. That has given me some kind of a hope. Okay, we will go to tell this sky that what is happening is not correct. and I may not run to the world, but the sky will be everywhere in the world. So the sky will be giving me witness. So I started just look down the sky and I shouted, "Oh sky, you please come and give me a witness that how much my heart is breaking and I am crying." Then I started crying so loudly, and I said that I will cry, and I will go and tell everybody and let the whole world listen to me, my pain, how much pain I am carrying.
Sir, coming to the other topic of this scavenging is the death of the drainage workers, those that go down these drains and the septic tanks and get exposed to these poisonous gases and die. And according to your statistics, there is one death every 5 days in India. Maybe some of them are not coming to light. But from what you said, measures like giving them gas detectors and oxygen cylinders and masks is not going to help in the long run, because they still have to go down these drains to clear the blocks. So, according to you, the only permanent solution is to mechanize them, so that there is a machine that goes down the drain to clear the blocks and people can work from outside, staying with the machine. And I believe these kind of machines have been developed in India by some of the institutes. Like I heard some names like Bandicoot and Suyokrok. So, when we have this technology, what is stopping us from using these machines? Is it because of the expense, financial aspect, or any lack of response from the government, bureaucracy, the private sector? What is happening here? What is stopping us from using the technology that is available?
Sir, one is the technology is a must. Not may not be now itself, but tomorrow you have to do. Without the technology, without the replacing with the technology, we cannot stop we cannot prevent the deaths in the sewer line and septic tank. Even during the corona season in Delhi, recently we have seen one person died, and 4 days before, no, last Friday, three people died in Mumbai. So the death toll of the septic tank and sewage workers has not stopped. Lockdown is not for the deaths of the sewage workers; it is continuing. So to stop that, the only solution is very clear: is the technology. The technology in India, it is available now. There are the two kinds of the technology. One is about the Bandicoot, which can go down and bring. That is the one. This thing that is only in the manholes. But another is that is in a Sanitar company from Bangalore. They developed a kind of a silver crocodile light, and that is they tested. So KTR also came and seen that, and he said that you establish the factory in Telangana. I'll give the free land and the factory, all the sheds, everything free. But I told him that you establish something, we will come and we will work. He said that now the Telangana government or any state government is not in position to establish anything. Some private individuals, they can come and establish, we support them, and they can also buy that. So there, the what we are doing is, the women who lost their husbands in the sewer line and the persons who are still working in the sewer line, together they will form a small enterprise, LLP, limited liability partnership. So that firm will own this machine, and that they can give it to the municipalities or the any sewage board or anyone. They can get the money, good money. Now one machine we have got on loan from the company, not by paying the money, but by getting like this. So that machine is already is working there now. So that machine is giving some kind of a result, but one machine gives is no profitable, because that is enough to maintain the four people in one machine going and cleaning, but not any kind of a manual, sir. Everything hydraulic, and I have seen that it is I satisfied fully, and they can use the gloves and they can just operate, and machine go inside, and one machine goes from the manhole to another manhole also, like this it goes, and one machine it goes down like this. So both the machines are there, which is costing, before they said that 37 lakhs, 39 lakhs they can give. Now including the dragger, one more with another vehicle, and it is costing the now almost like a 47 lakhs. But one machine also can run. Both, if it is a pakka permanent solution for a small place. Like they are doing now in Malakpet. Malakpet, I think, in Hyderabad, Malakpet or somewhere. So they are doing now. So this model works very well, and that will prevent the further deaths. And it can, today also I got a call from the Mumbai. They were also asking we need that kind of a machine. But I am not understanding why the government is not procuring these machines. So I also requested many times the government. They said that we don't procure anything. We give you contract if you want. You bring the machines. We will give the contracts for even the 200 machines. So there we got, and we have to go to some financial institute and all. I'm not so good in mobilizing a resources as in a share capitals. I can mobilize little money for the donations, but not like a business model. I am not a business person. So I am also now have to involve one or two good business people to develop this whole thing into the very profitable manner.
So, from what you have explained, I understand there are two problems. One is the mass production of these machines, and the other one is getting the bank loans to buy these machines. For now, let's leave the mass production to the government, and let us talk about the bank loans. The banks are not willing to finance these machines because whoever wants to buy, they cannot provide any surety. So that's where the problem is. So here is what I think about this problem. If social organizations or institutes or public, they come together and let's say they can raise funds at least as a pilot project. If they can raise funds 40 to 45 lakhs, which you said is the cost of a machine, and put it as a fixed deposit in a bank like a state bank or a whatever bank, then they would be able to give the loan to the buyers because this is a surety. And here we need help from your side. Once assuming that we come to that stage where we raise the funds, put it in the bank, then we have to see that where is the team to run the machine, and how do they actually repay, and who is going to take the responsibility for the repayment of this one. Because if this is repaid in a couple of years' time, the same fixed deposit can be used as a revolving loan to buy another machine. So thinking that if we work towards this pilot project, what are the possibilities and what is the practicality of this idea of public coming forward to raise these funds and help you to get these machines, so that at least some of the workers can be, we can prevent them from going into the drains, and maybe after some time by motivation these things can catch on and maybe we can add another machine and another machine. So please tell us your ideas about this.
Another machine, yes. Sir, there are the two things. One is the government of India has constituted one National Safai Karmacharis Finance and Development Corporation. They also want to give the loan. That loan is very soft loan, sir, when compared to the bank loan. But they are also giving that loan through the bank. Again, that is another problem. They give the, if the bank is giving 14%, NSKFDC will give them the loan only for the 4 or 5%, and they will ask you give it to the Safai Karmacharis. So for that also, you, as you rightly said, your grant can also keep as a security in the bank, stating that we can also take the loan from the NSKFDC and the banks. and we should not touch that money. By showing that, we can also get the more and more. That is what I am also thinking. We can think this is as a revolving fund.
Yes.
It will be there,
So
and by showing that, we will get one machine, and we are repaying. After one year, if they repay very well, then automatically bank will offer one more loan, and we can go out of the guarantee. We no need to be guarantee for them for the second vehicle.
This is the solution, because there is no point in trying to give temporary solutions like gas detectors and face masks and oxygen cylinders. It is not going to solve the problem in the long run.
Not at all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, sir. You have taken a time to fix all these things today.
No, sir. I feel it is a big honor to me speaking to somebody like you, and who has dedicated the whole entire life. And I know that you have even avoided marriage because you have dedicated for spending your life for this cause. I feel it is very humbling experience for me to talk to you like this, sir. And I hope that it doesn't stop here. And I hope definitely that we'll make some contribution towards your cause once this corona crisis is over. And I look forward to meeting you in India, sir.
All your words and all your actually concern actually makes me more strong and stronger, sir, really. And we don't know where you are, where I am, but I feel when I am talking to you that I get some strength and spirit like that will help the people, sir. We will do, sir. Definitely we will do something.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And hopefully we'll meet, and then we'll take this further. Not just a discussion, but we'll try to put it into practice.
When you visit India, please come to Delhi, sir.
Definitely, sir.
Otherwise, I will come wherever you are in India.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless.
Thank you once again.
Yes, my dear friends, if you agree with this injustice, if you are moved by the miserable lives of manual scavengers, come, let's join hands with Mr. Bezawada Wilson and bring a ray of hope to destroy that world which has been destroying the helpless. Let us do our bit in demolishing the world of manual scavenging, the living hell on earth. Before we die, let us save some of their lives from drowning in the drainage gutters. Before we die, let us restore the dignity of some of our fellow human beings. Before we die, let us bring some hope, a hope that their children will never be forced to enter the dark and deadly drains anymore. Only then we can rest in peace with some pride instead of guilt. We can rest in peace with some satisfaction instead of pain. We can rest in peace as a human being who really cared for another. Then let us take the first step. Let us be the first soldiers in this battle, the battle to demolish gross injustice. Let us launch Project Suraksha, the project that can change some lives forever because you cared about them. Thank you and namaste.